New England Synthesizer and synthCube have recently acquired a few amazing pieces of gear from legendary synth maker ARP Instruments. The 2600 synthesizer, the 1613 sequencer, the 3620 keyboard, and the Little Brother expansion module. Predecessor to the 2600, ARP's first modular synthesizer offering was released in 1970, the 2500. The 2500 featured 15 modules, with everything from VCOs and filters to sample and hold, as well as a sequencer. It could be outfitted with an external keyboard and additional module cabinets, available from ARP. Unlike systems from competitors like Moog, the 2500 did not use patch cables. Instead, patches were made using a matrix of switches. Another major development in the 2500 was its use of temperature-stable components, which allowed for the ARP2600 to stay in tune over long periods of time. The 2600 was the natural evolution for the 2500, first arriving in early 1971. The earliest model features a blue panel and is known as the Blue Marvin. The ARP2600C has a gray face, earning it the nickname the Gray Meanie. Our unit is version 2 of the third model, known as the ARP2600P version 2. The 2600P is all black and came in a portable vinyl case great for taking it on the road. In order to make the instrument more accessible to people with little or no synthesizer experience, the 2600 was made semi-modular, with internal routing powerful enough to allow one to play it without using any manual patch points. This instrument was famously used to create the sound effects for R2-D2 and was used by musicians such as Stevie Wonder, Weather Report, David Bowie, Pete Townsend of The Who, Kraftwerk, and countless others. The 1613 is a standalone 16-step sequencer which can be split into two simultaneous 8-step sequences. The 1613's gate busing system gives each step a 3-position switch, which allows for a great deal of flexibility and performability. This machine's biggest innovation was the dual quantized outputs, which snap voltage to the nearest relative note. The 3620 is an external keyboard for ARP synthesizers, which features an internal LFO and portamento. The Little Brother is an expansion module compatible with any monophonic or polyphonic ARP synthesizer. It has its own internal VCO and LFO and can be controlled by an ARP keyboard. For anybody who's interested in ARP, whether it's the instruments or the history of the company, you should check out ARPs For All. ARPs For All is an awesome program made possible through a collaboration between the Record Co. in Boston, Massachusetts and the Alan R. Pearlman Foundation, run by Alan Pearlman's daughter, Dina Pearlman. ARPs For All aim to bring ARP's incredible vintage instruments to the public. You can learn more about these rare instruments and even play them yourself. For more information, visit the link in the description. The ARP2600 can be patched entirely without cables, as it has an internal signal path. All 3 oscillators can be routed through the filter, and some of them can actually be sent directly to the output. The attack release and ADSR envelope generators function as you might expect. The filter can be controlled by the ADSR, while the VCA can be controlled by one or a mix of both envelope generators. The final section is the mixer, where you can blend the outputs of the VCA and the VCF, as well as insert external signals. The ARP2620 keyboard is duophonic, which means that 2 notes can be played at the same time. It has an LFO built in for modulation of the frequency and other parameters on the 2600. The 3620 also has portamento, which extends the amount of time it takes the oscillators to change their pitch, and can be set to affect each note change or momentarily engaged using a red button, allowing the player to choose which notes will glide. The sample and hold is another source of modulation. It receives its input from the noise generator, but it can also receive an external voltage input. There's internal routing from the sample and hold to the first 2 oscillators and to the filter frequency. First, I've taken a gate output from the sequencer. I'll use it to trigger an envelope generator. The ADSR will ping the filter to create our percussive elements. Let's listen to that now. Next, I'll take the output of the sample and hold and use that to modulate the cutoff frequency of the filter. I'm going to take another gate output from the sequencer to trigger the main melodic voice. I'll use gate 1 to trigger the attack release envelope generator. Right now we're hearing the first two oscillators being ring modded against each other. I'm going to take the melody from the sequencer and use it to change the pitch of the first oscillator. Here, I'll patch in the little brother as an additional voice. I take the output of the little brother and patch it into the preamplifier input on the ARP2600. From there, I'll send it to the main output on the 2600. I'm using control voltage from the keyboard to control the pitch on the little brother. The little brother provides various octaves at the flip of a switch, which makes it very good at creating organ-like tones. Let's turn it up. I also have a variation set up on the 1613. By changing the mode for the third gate bus, I can introduce skips to the pattern. Since 2 of the steps are being skipped, it's now a 6-step pattern. And now back to the initial 8-step pattern.